March is the month of readathons, and to be honest, I have a bit of FOMO. I just want to do all of the readathons, and so I'm dabbling into about 3 of them. And the readathons are Middle Grade March, March Through History, and March Mystery Madness. So that's middle grade books, historical fiction books, as well as mystery books. So hi, my name is Angie. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I'm a mom to 4. I love to homeschool, I love to read good books, and I love to share both of those things on this channel. So if you are also interested in those things, please consider subscribing. So to hop into the 3 readathons. So even though I am wrapping up hosting Historathon this past month, which was a month of reading just historical fiction, I am going to participate a little bit in a historical fiction readathon called March Through History. It is hosted by Emily over at ARG Schooling. I love her channel. She's also the creator of the homeschool curriculum we use, and so I'm jazzed to participate in that. Additionally, I am pre-reading a number of books for my kids' school this upcoming year. We are going to be studying ancient history, so we're talking a lot of Egypt and India, Mesopotamia, all the things. And so I want to pre-read some of those books because my kids tend to be a little bit sensitive, so I want to make sure it's okay before I get into the book with them. And so a lot of those books are middle grade, so that's me participating in middle grade March. And then as for the last readathon, March Mystery Madness, I actually only have 1 mystery book, and it's a book I have been wanting to read for years, and so I will be sharing that. So those are the 3 readathons. I will link all the different announcements below, so please go check them out. They are hosted by a number of wonderful booktubers. But to get into the books, let me start with historical fiction books because those actually are the ones that I'm also buddy reading this month. And so I have a number of buddy reads, which I'm very excited about. And so the first one is this one, The Other Einstein by Benedict. I will be reading this with Emily over at Novelle Novels. She's fantastic. I really enjoy her channel, so I'll link her below as well. This is about Albert Einstein's wife, I think his first wife. And this sounds so interesting because they both were physicists and they met at a university in Zurich or someplace. And then there's kind of this theory rolling around about the fact that she was highly influential in his development of the theory of relativity, which just sounds fascinating to me. And I don't think Einstein remained married to her. I think he had a second marriage, so I'm not sure. But her character just sounds fantastic. And as a scientist myself, I just really enjoy reading about women scientists, especially those from, 1896. That is just amazing. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one. Next book I'm reading with Diane over at Spinelli Speaks. She's a very bubbly, uplifting booktuber. She's fantastic. Go check her out as well. And we are reading Once Upon a River by Diane Setterfield. I have included this book on so many TBRs, I can't even tell you guys. And I'm so excited to finally be picking it up. I think buddy reads actually helped me pick up the books that I've been wanting to read. But this one in particular sounds so interesting. It kind of has some mystical elements about it. It's set in London, and there's a man and a girl. I don't remember how old she is. They stumble into some pub somewhere, and it looks as if the girl is dead. But what happens is she comes back to life, but it's hours later. So people are just mystified as to what is going on? Is this magic? What is going on with this girl? But then people start coming out of the woodwork, I guess, and saying oh, she's my daughter or my sister's cousin or something. So everybody tries to have a claim on her, it sounds like, and nobody knows who she belongs to. And to me, what's interesting is why does everybody want her? So I've been wanting to pick this up forever. I love this cover, and I've been wanting to also read a Diane Setterfield forever. So March, I'm going to do it in March. Next, I'm reading a book with Karen over at Karen Evans, I think is her channel. She's also great. She's a school teacher. She has great recommendations. And we are reading Life After Life by Kate Atkinson. I've heard nothing but good things about this book. I mean, it's definitely been around for a while. It's not a new book or anything like that. But from what I understand, it is a time travel sort of book, or at least a time manipulating sort of book. There sounds like there's this girl who can't die, or at least she comes back to kind of live her life over and over again. But the catch in her story is that different decisions in her life lead her down different paths. So for instance, sometimes she'll come to a corner and turn right and then die for some reason. And if she turns left in a different life, she lives to be 100 years old. She can influence her life to some extent. And then around, I think it must be the First World War or the Second World War, she becomes interested in well, maybe I can make a difference. Maybe this uniqueness of my situation that nobody else has, I can affect some change, is what it sounds like. So I'm looking forward to this. I recently read, what's it called? The 15 Lives of Harry August, and it feels like it has a very similar feel to it, and I didn't like that book. So I'm really hoping I like this one, and I'm hoping buddy reading it will make it that much better. Moving on to middle grade March. The first one I'm going to read is this book, The Tale of Despero by Kate DiCamillo. I've been wanting to read this for so long. Really, since I heard about Kate DiCamillo on the Read Aloud Revival podcast, I've been really interested in her books. And so this is a part of our curriculum for this upcoming year. It's one of our read-alouds. And I've heard really good things about it. But I've also heard there are some more intense parts where you're talking dungeons. And I've heard kind of mixed reviews where some people are like, oh, it's not a big deal. I read it to my 6-year-old. And others are like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't read that to a 12-year-old. So I'm reading it myself just to make sure. I'm sure I'm going to love the story. I just have to pre-read it just to make sure I know what's in it. And then I'm more than likely going to read it to my kids, but that just gives me a heads up to be able to warn them about certain things or be able to be prepared to have certain conversations. So I'm really looking forward to this book. And so like I said, we are doing ancient history. And so I have a couple books that really tie into the historical time frame. So the first is called The Golden Bull, which is a new one to me. I've never heard about this, but it's a part of our curriculum. It is about these 2 kids in Mesopotamia. So that's like 5,000 years ago. And it sounds like there was just this really bad famine and the dad couldn't keep them. And so he sent them to kind of like the nearest big town to try and make it, if you will. It just sounds a little harsh, but I think the story really centers around these kids and what it potentially would be like to live during this time frame. Like for instance, I think the boy is able to apprentice under this goldsmith, but then his sister doesn't have room in the household, like there isn't work for her, so she like has to play music on the streets or something like that. And it sounds really interesting. I'm pre-reading it because I just want to make sure it's not too scary or not too like sad, I don't know, or it's not too harsh on these kids that it would be upsetting to my kids. So I'm going to pre-read it, but I really like the idea of immersing them in that time frame via a read aloud. And so I'm really excited about this book. And so this last one has just a gorgeous cover, and I'm really excited to read it to them. And it's called Urusha and the End of Time, and it's by Roshani Chokshi. And this just sounds so good. The time frame is ancient India, but it's about this girl in modern time. And she goes to this private middle school and she's teased and she's bullied. And a lot of her classmates are like vacationing into these just amazing places over, I think, summer break or spring break. And so she lies to some of her classmates saying that like she's rich and she's about to go to Paris or all these things. But instead she's going to spend her break at the Museum of Ancient Indian Arts and Culture that her mom curates the art for. And so that's where she's going to be. And then some of her classmates, I think, catch her. They catch her in the lie, and then she continues to lie. And she tells them, like, there's this amazing lamp, and it's cursed and all this stuff. And so they're like, well, prove it, I guess. And so then they go on this adventure. And I believe they get sucked into some of the mythology, the lamp, and some of the Indian culture. And it just sounds really cute. And so for me, my main concern is, like, too much adventure, like too tense, if you will, like it's too suspenseful. It sounds really good, and I just love the fact that I can bring that into our ancient history studies. And I'm definitely reading more than these 3 out loud to my kids between now and the end of the school year, so the next like 15 weeks. But these were the ones I was just a little unsure if it would be too much for my kids. And then as per the mystery I have been wanting to read for years, it is Agatha Christie, And Then There Were None. As most of you know, this story is about a group of people who gather together. I think they're all rich or have secrets or something like that, and they're in a secluded place. And I forget exactly where, but then people start dying kind of one after another, after another, after another, and then you have to figure out what's going on and who's doing it. And it's just such a classic mystery that everybody talks about. And my little sister wants to read it as well, so we're also buddy reading that together. But before the end of this video, I actually have one more I want to add on in case I get through all those. I might. They're kind of big though, so I might not. The thing is I have a book here that I really want to read, and I might pick it up just because it's one of those books that are just calling to me, and it's this book. So the new Kristen Hanna book, The Four Winds. This sounds excellent. I'm so excited about it. It's a Great Depression story about this woman who marries a man not for love, but ends up starting a farm and starting a family, and then the Great Depression hits, and it's terrible, and everything's dying, and she has to make all these decisions as to what to do. But it sounds like it's not like they're making decisions in this happy marriage. It sounds like she is trying to figure out how to protect her kids and protect herself and get out of a bad situation. And it sounds rough. I've heard good things. I've heard that it's an excellent book. I am a big Krista and Hannah fan. This might be the book I am most excited about this year. So I really want to get to this, so I might just sneak it into March. We shall see. And so I am really excited about this month. I'm excited about my reading. I can't wait to get to these books. Please let me know below what you're planning on reading. Do you have any books that you just really want to get to that you can't wait to get to? Are you participating in any of these readathons? Just let me know down below. Please comment. And otherwise, that is all I have. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel if you aren't already subscribed, and I will see you in the next book video. All right, have a wonderful day.